Branson Robinson is built like a brick house. He does not have a neck. Those are my words. Those are the words of Dell McGee, Georgia's running back coach, who spoke about his running backs to the media earlier this week. First thing that I got out of that is that he is excited about the two running backs that he is bringing in, the two that he signed in the 2022 class. Both are 220 pounds. I'm talking about Branson Robinson and Andrew Paul. Guys who weren't five-star recruits. Branson Robinson was highly recruited. Andrew Paul was the guy that they pushed for late in the process and signed him right before signing day. But always good to speak with the assistant coaches. Obviously, Kirby speaks with the media often. But we got a chance to speak with or ask questions to offensive coordinator Todd Monken and Dell McGee this past week. And I know that Dell McGee has had a little bit of trouble on the recruiting trail lately, missing on Justice Haynes and Richard Young and Ruben Owens, another 5-star, is currently committed to Louisville. So it hasn't been all that great. But overall, you still have to really like the running backs at Georgia's room right now, especially the two young guys. Always going to be tough to replace guys like Zamir White, who just broke tackles left and right this year, and James Cook, who was extremely versatile and a guy who I think is going to do really well for the Bills last year. Those were two starters, guys who made a lot of plays for you, and they're going to have to replace that. But Dell McGee is really excited about his room, and I think if you're a Georgia fan, you have to be too. He went on to talk about Branson Robinson a little further. Branson, the way he's built like a brick house. He doesn't have a neck. He's very similarly built in the shoulders like one of my old teammates, Takeo Spikes, who we played with at Auburn. Takeo Spikes is a big dude, all muscle. Nick Chubb was a good-looking student athlete as well. Branson is more than just muscle. He's very dedicated. He works hard in the weight room, obviously, and in strength and conditioning. He's a sharp young man with a lot of promise this year. This is a guy who was injured a good bit during his senior season, didn't light up the stat sheet due to injury the way he probably wanted to over in Mississippi. But his head coach at Germantown told me that dude is coming into Athens with a chip on his shoulder. He knows that he was a little banged up here and there. When this guy is healthy, I do expect him to get some carries this year, even when you have to feed guys like Kenny McIntosh the ball and Kendall Milton and Daijun Edwards, who we spoke a little bit about earlier, a guy who doesn't talk a whole lot, lets his play speak for himself, humble kid, just waiting his turn, very patient, who played really well at the end of last year, in games last year when it was a blowout. Daijun Edwards was breaking off runs left and right in those games. On freshman Andrew Paul, the other incoming freshman that he has, he comes from a good high school program that won a state championship out in Texas, 6 foot, 220 pounds. These guys are physically ready to play in the SEC right now. It's nice to have a change of pace back, kind of a silky smooth runner, 180, 185 around there. But the two guys they brought in are 220, both of them. 5'10", 220 is Branson Robinson, 6 foot, 220 is Andrew Paul. These are guys who break tackles, who have speed too. So I'm excited to see what they have in mind. He also said, 6 foot, 220 pounds, great size and good speed. He's a great kid from a great family, very quiet, hard worker who fits all the character of things we look for in our football players. We also needed a running back. Again, he's talking about towards signing day last year. He's just getting there. He wasn't a mid-year. Both of these two running backs came in the summer. They were not here in the spring. So he's behind from a mental standpoint. We'll give a chance to evaluate him further in the scrimmage, which is happening today when you're watching this video. Probably already happened. I know all of our guys are looking forward to it. At the end of the day, first of all, Andrew Paul had over 2,600 yards rushing last year, 41 touchdowns. The guy knows how to run the football. He's strong in the lower body. He's going to break a lot of tackles when getting an opportunity to carry the rock. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton as far as the two guys who get the most carries. So, of course, he spoke about Kenny McIntosh a little bit, what he brings to the table, because he's the guy who's going to have to replace James Cook in the passing game, showing off his versatility. He said, Dell McGee said he can do everything. He can run inside tackles. He can run outside tackles. He's really good on the perimeter. He's really, really good hands as well. Probably some of the best hands since DeAndre Swift. He's good at running routes. He can blitz, pick up on third down, so he's definitely a complete back. He's learned a lot from James Cook and Zamir White. He's also a good example of, just like James and Zamir were, of staying the course, not being too anxious to enter the NFL or the transfer portal, and just being patient. All of his hard work and patience will come and pay off this year, but I think the sky is the limit for him. And Kenny McIntosh could have transferred. Probably 2 years ago, could have transferred going into last season and got more opportunities to run the football, but his patience does look like it is going to pay off because he's the number one guy in my opinion. If I were calling plays, Kenny McIntosh would get the first opportunity to run the ball before Kendall Milton. So he would be my first carry if I were the coach on the team. And when you're the running back at the University of Georgia, there are a lot of eyes on you, right? It's like playing shooting guard for the Lakers, shortstop for the Yankees. It's a big deal. Everyone knows who the running back in the University of Georgia is, and he's going to be RB1 in my opinion. And again, saying that he probably has the best hand since DeAndre Swift is a big statement because we saw what James Cook did last year. But he has shown the ability to catch passes. He's, I think, had a really nice one-handed catch down the sideline against Missouri. Big catch, juggling catch late in the national championship game against Alabama. The dude can make a lot of plays. And his versatility, his ability to make guys miss. He is a complete back, and I expect him to have a monster senior season this year. Overall, I think Del McGee, again, is going to use his backs in a lot of different ways. Everyone talks about the tight ends and the offensive line. It could be better than it was last year. I think they're going to be one of the best groups in the SEC, possibly in the country. So yeah, you're missing Zamir White and James Cook. You're going to have to replace those guys. But if the holes are open, everyone on this roster, every running back they have, has the ability to hit the hole and take it for a big game, including these two freshmen who can run between the tackles at 220. They're also guys who can get tough yards and fall forward. If you need a big 2nd and 4, they can get that for you. Big 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You have no problem giving these guys the ball, telling them to, run between the guard and tackle or guard and center and get you 2 or 3 tough yards. They keep the chains moving, and occasionally they're going to break a tackle in the line of scrimmage and take off down the field. So they know what they're looking at as far as recruiting running backs. And again, it's a little bit of a struggle right now in the 23 class. They have one of the best on board already in 24. So at the end of the day, Georgia's going to run the football. Todd Monken said that as well. He said, y'all know I like to throw it around. That's kind of what he was brought at Georgia to do, is to open up the offense a little bit, sling it around like Alabama and other teams had. But at the end of the day, Georgia's going to run the football. They always have the backs to do it. Kirby's philosophy is break you down, right? Just continue to punch you over and over, run down your throat, especially to kill a clock. They've done an excellent job of killing the clock at the end of games. We saw it against Clemson. We saw it against Auburn. We saw it against Florida, even though those two games were put away. That whole fourth quarter, they were running the ball, and the defense knew they were running the ball, and they were still able to do it. So if we're talking about one of the best offensive lines in college football, I expect everyone, if they stay healthy, especially a guy like Kendall Milton, who was not asked specifically. I don't have quotes from Dale McGee. He was asked specifically about the other 3 backs that I gave quotes on. But Kendall Milton, if he's healthy, he's going to be very, very good. Probably one of the breakout stars in college football. This is year 3 for him. It's time to have a big year. And again, we know what Kenny McIntosh can do a little bit. He's extremely versatile. He can catch the ball. But he's an effective runner as well. So we're going to see a lot of those two. Again, Daijun Edwards is going to get his touches. He's earned them. And we'll see if the 2 running backs get any carries as well. I expect them to at the end of games. There's still going to be a few blowouts this season, just like almost every game last year. So we are going to see those guys a good bit. So I'm excited to see what they can do. I expect them to break a lot of tackles, not only this year when given an opportunity, but in the rest of their career as well. So love to talk about Stetson Bennett, of course. The tight end room is one of the best in school history. David Pollack said that this offseason. I think we talked about the receivers a good bit in the offseason, what they can do, just so many weapons there. And if guys like Dominic Blaylock and Aaron Smith stay healthy, they're only going to help A.D. Mitchell and Ladd McConkey and those guys out there. Kearis Jackson is a senior veteran who I think is going to have a breakout year too and make plays when he gets the ball. There's so many guys who I think have earned the chance to touch the football a lot this year. So and Todd Monken said it best. He goes, we have to utilize or play to our strengths. And we have a lot of strengths. Brock Bowers obviously has to have the football. You want to get it to Eric Gilbert. A.D. Mitchell is the guy who needs to touch the ball. And, of course, these running backs I think are outstanding as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how much they open up the offense, how they get the ball to Kenny McIntosh, how they continue to feed Ladd McConkey at times. But they're going to play matchups, and they're going to put guys on, they're going to put running backs on linebackers when they can. They're going to effectively use the screen game, not only with guys like Kearis Jackson and Ladd McConkey, but with Brock Bowers as well. Brock Bowers, again, has to touch the football. So, again, the more I try to talk about the offense and break it down, the more I think kind of the sky's the limit. And I think Todd Monken is very happy dude right now, drawing up plays for all of these guys who I think have earned the right to touch the football a good bit this year. So just a quick little video about the running backs, what Dale McGee said about them. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and TikTok. Check out DAWGSTRUCTION. Get the season preview magazine before it is too late. And for the latest and greatest Georgia football news, make sure you head over to Dog Post. Guys, thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now, and I'll see you over on Dog Post.